What if a single act of kindness could shatter a heart of ice? Imagine a billionaire, walled off from the world, crossing paths with a 4-year-old girl clutching a cookie and wearing oversized yellow gloves. What unfolds will warm your soul and remind you that love can spark in the smallest moments. Stay with us for this 11-minute journey, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire. High above Manhattan's restless streets, in a penthouse where silence ruled, Richard Monroe stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, the city a distant mosaic of lights and motion. At 38, he was a tech mogul, his software empire spanning continents. His nickname, the Iceberg, earned through a stare that could halt conversations. His life was a fortress of control, every detail precise, until a small yellow smudge on his Persian rug caught his eye. It came from a pair of oversized rubber gloves, comically large on the tiny hands of Sophie, the 4-year-old daughter of his new cleaner, Lauren Oliver. Richard's jaw tightened. Children didn't belong in his sterile world, yet those gloves stirred something he couldn't name. Lauren moved through the penthouse with quiet urgency, scrubbing marble counters with a cloth dampened by effort and nerves. A single mom from cramped Queens walk up. She'd landed this job through a friend, to pay a lifeline for her and Sophie. With a local daycare shuttered, she'd had no choice but to bring her daughter, promising the housekeeper, Ellen, that Sophie would be invisible. "Stay in the corner, sweetheart," Lauren whispered, brushing Sophie's dark curls. Sophie nodded, her brown eyes wide with awe at the glittering space, her yellow gloves, bought cheap at a dollar store, clutched like a treasure. "Can I help, Mommy?" she asked softly. Lauren's smile was tight. "Just stay quiet, okay? This is an important man's house." In his study, Richard pored over contracts to silence his sanctuary. 7 years ago, a car accident had stolen his wife, Isabel, and their unborn daughter, Anna Sophia, leaving him hollow. Work became his refuge, his icy reputation his shield. He'd built an empire from a rented studio, now commanding 30,000 employees, but personal connections were a luxury he'd abandoned. That morning, heading for coffee, he nearly stumbled over a small figure in the hallway. Sophie stood there, yellow gloves swallowing her hands, offering a half-nibbled vanilla wafer. "Want some?" she asked, her voice bright with a child's fearless generosity. Richard froze, the man who made executives tremble momentarily unmoored. Lauren appeared, panic flashing. "Sophie, come here." "I'm so sorry, Mr. Monroe." She braced for disaster, her job, her lifeline gone. But Richard's gaze lingered on Sophie, her gloves absurd yet endearing. A crack formed in his armor. He crouched, meeting her eyes. "Thank you," he said, taking the crumbly piece. His voice, usually sharp, was soft, unfamiliar even to himself. Sophie beamed. "It's my favorite. Mommy packs one every day." Lauren stared, stunned, as Richard nodded, a faint smile breaking through. "I haven't had one in years," he said, a note of nostalgia making Lauren's brow furrow. What was happening? The moment lingered, its ripples subtle but profound. Richard began working from home more often, his schedule aligning with Sophie's visits. The penthouse, once a cold fortress, hummed with her quiet chatter. "Uncle Rich," she'd call, the nickname coined on a whim. And to Ellen's shock, he never corrected her. One afternoon, Sophie showed him a crayon drawing of a lopsided house. "This is our home, but it's small," she said. Richard listened, his intensity softened, as if her words carried the weight of a boardroom pitch. Ellen whispered to the driver, "Paul, is he sick?" Paul chuckled. "No, just human." Lauren lived on edge, grateful for the job, but wary of Richard's growing interest in Sophie. Years of scraping by had taught her good things don't last. One evening, as she packed cleaning supplies, Richard appeared. "Lauren," a word. Her heart sank, expecting the worst. Instead, he said, "Sophie mentioned your birthday's tomorrow. I have a lodge in the Catskills. It's empty. You and Sophie could use it for the weekend." Lauren blinked, floored. "A billionaire's mountain lodge? It's too much, sir," she stammered. Richard waved it off. "It's practical. Sophie said she's never seen snow." His tone was businesslike, but his eyes held warmth. The Catskills Lodge was a vision, timber and stone, with views of misty valleys. Sophie ran through the garden, yellow gloves flapping, squealing at every discovery. Carmen, the caretaker, greeted them with a spread of breads, fruits, and, center stage, a platter of vanilla wafers with smiley face icing. "Just like my cookies." Sophie gasped. Lauren found an envelope with her name, a card inside. "Happy birthday, Lauren. Thank you for Sophie's light. Enjoy RM." Her throat tightened. This man, who barely spoke, had remembered a child's cookie. For the first time in years, Lauren let herself savor the moment, though questions lingered about his motives. Back in the city, the penthouse routine shifted. Richard emerged during Sophie's snack times, answering her endless questions with patience that baffled Ellen. One morning, he found Sophie puzzling over a jigsaw on his office floor. "This piece is wrong, Uncle Rich," she scolded. He laughed, a sound so rare Lauren, passing by, paused. "Your teacher's right," he said. "Practice makes better." Sophie nodded, then added, "Mommy says I'm going to a tree school." Richard's eyes met Lauren's. "Oak Ridge Academy," he clarified. "You like it?" Oak Ridge was Richard's latest surprise. Weeks earlier, he proposed a scholarship for Sophie at one of New York's elite schools, far beyond Lauren's means. "It's not charity," he'd said, sensing her hesitation. "It's an investment in her potential." When she pressed why, he'd looked away, murmuring, settling accounts with the universe. Now, as Sophie's first day neared, Lauren grappled with the decision. The opportunity was life-changing, but what did he want in return? Watching Sophie thrive, her yellow gloves a constant companion, Lauren knew she'd say yes. The weekend before Sophie's first day, they returned to the Catskills for a final summer escape. Sophie, ever the adventurer, insisted on exploring the lodge's grounds, her gloves bright against the green. Carmen surprised them with an artificial snow machine, a nod to Sophie's snow obsession. For hours, Sophie built a tiny snowman, her laughter echoing. Lauren watched, heart full, but a quiet unease persisted. Richard's generosity felt too big, too personal. That night, Sophie found a teddy bear on her bed, another unspoken gift. "Uncle Rich is nice," she murmured, hugging it. Lauren nodded, unsure how to explain the complexity of her gratitude. The morning of Sophie's first day at Oak Ridge, Richard joined the car ride, surprising Lauren. Sophie, in her crisp uniform, showed him her gloves tucked in her backpack. "My lucky ones," she said. He smiled, a warmth Lauren was beginning to recognize. At the school's leafy campus, Sophie hesitated, gripping Lauren's hand. The head of school, Dr. Foster, greeted them warmly, a privilege Lauren suspected came from Richard's influence. Sophie, after a reassuring nod from her mom, ran to her classroom, but not before hugging Richard. "Thanks for the tree school, Uncle Rich." Lauren's heart swelled, seeing the man who'd once been untouchable soften under a child's embrace. Back at the penthouse, Richard led Lauren to the terrace. "We need to talk," he said, his voice tight. Rain misted the skyline as he faced her, vulnerability breaking through. "7 years ago, I lost my wife, Isabel, and our unborn daughter, Anna Sophia, in a crash. I buried myself in work, in solitude. Then Sophie offered me that cookie, and you showed me strength I'd forgotten." Lauren's breath caught as he stepped closer. "I love you, Lauren. And Sophie, like she's my own. I want us to be a family." Tears spilled as Lauren admitted, "I love you too, but I was afraid it wasn't real." Their kiss, soft and fierce, sealed a truth neither had dared name. The months that followed were a careful dance. They moved slowly, mindful of Sophie. Outings to parks, zoos, and quiet dinners became their rhythm. Sophie, who adored Uncle Rich, took the shift in stride. One evening, after a Hamptons Beach day, she asked, "Is Uncle Rich my dad now?" Lauren, caught off guard, smiled. "How would you feel about that?" Sophie thought hard. "I like it. He makes you smile." When Lauren shared this with Richard over the phone, his silence turned to quiet tears. "I never thought I'd have this again," he said. "A family." The following spring, under Oak Ridge's blooming oaks, Richard knelt before Sophie. "Can I ask your mom to marry me? And be your dad?" Sophie's yes rang out her hug fierce. Lauren, tears streaming, accepted his ring, a diamond radiant in its simplicity. They married in the Catskills, Sophie the ring bearer in tiny white gloves, her yellow pair tucked away. At the reception, Ellen toasted, "To the iceberg, melted by a cookie." Paul chuckled, "In yellow gloves." A year later, on the penthouse terrace, Sophie learned she'd be a big sister. "I'll teach the baby everything," she declared, gloves still her lucky charm. Richard, arm around Lauren, whispered, "Isabel would approve. You and Sophie made me whole." As the city glowed below, Lauren marveled at life's strange paths, how a child's kindness had rewritten their story. Months later, Sophie, now 6, started first grade at Oak Ridge. Lauren watched her daughter, still wearing those faded gloves at recess, lead a group of friends in a game she'd invented. Richard joined them for pickup, his presence a steady comfort. One evening, as they walked home, Sophie slipped her hand into Richard's. "You're not sad anymore, right, Dad?" Richard's eyes glistened. "Not anymore, Princess." Lauren smiled, her heart full, knowing a cookie and a pair of yellow gloves had sparked a miracle. That's the story of how a simple gesture changed everything. If this tale of love and family touched you, hit subscribe and join us for more heartwarming stories. Share your favorite moment below. Did the cookie or the glove steal your heart?